Traditional English courses at language schools aren't necessarily an answer to your desire to learn to speak English fluently, massively improve that fluency in the shortest amount of time and most efficiently possible, and gain confidence in speaking English.
I have tried a few courses, but they didn't work.
I've been studying at a language academy, but I don't feel confident.
One of my friends, Manu, who I met back in London when I used to live there, even told me that he'd spent about 2 months at a really pricey, traditional, international English academy in London. And he didn't learn as much about communication, he didn't gain confidence in speaking English as much as he did by using more alternative ways of improving his fluency. And as an English coach, I hear sentences like this almost every single week in my DMs on TikTok. Based on my experience of not just learning to speak English, but 4 other languages, German, French, Japanese, and Spanish fluently, and I truly believe that randomly chatting with native speakers, studying grammar theoretically, and then completing exercises based on that, and then just speaking, which is what most of these traditional places advertise themselves with, won't necessarily be the be-all and end-all of improving your fluency in English, especially if you want to focus on effectively improving so you're not wasting your precious time. An English learner is bombarded by social media content, all kinds of brochures, marketing materials, billboards, ads, all trying to sell their own courses. And if you haven't had much experience reaching fluency in a foreign language, it's pretty understandable that you might easily fall for some of these scams that these traditional English schools use to get you into their courses and then disappoint you by not helping you get the results you wanted. And the problem starts with the fact that most traditional English courses teach you English instead of helping you learn English and teaching you how to learn English, so you don't rely on their services for years or decades. As somebody who has gone through the process of improving my fluency multiple times with different languages, and as someone who's been in the industry working as an English fluency and learning coach, I personally believe the most important thing to do in adult education is to empower my students so they don't have to rely on courses and teachers and on information for the rest of their lives, because they've built their growth mindset, mastered the strategies of learning to speak English fluently effectively, and they are able to tap into all the resources at the right level, focusing on what exactly they want to improve about their English fluency, videos, podcasts, articles, books, or anything else around them, so they can reach their fluency goals. And by the end of this video, my goal is to help you find out more about what exactly you need to be looking for to make the most of your limited time available for learning English if you want to improve your fluency, gain confidence in speaking English, and communicate more effectively, not just in class, but in real-life conversations as well. Hey English learner, welcome. If you're new here, then welcome. I can't wait for you to dive into all the other content I have for you about fluency, confidence, speaking, listening, everything you can find out about improving your fluency. And if you're a returning visitor, then thank you for trusting me and coming back for more and more content. My name is Chubby, I'm an English fluency, learning and language anxiety coach, and this is a channel for serious English learners who want to learn more about how to make vocabulary more memorable and how to speak English more freely, confidently and comfortably with the help of improving their listening and spoken interaction skills. So if these are topics that you're interested in and you'd like to find out more about, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get my weekly updates, short form, long form videos to help you understand more about how to improve your speaking, listening, and vocabulary. We live in a completely new world order when it comes to learning English, and I talked about it recently in a few videos that I posted on how to improve your English in a more modern way that it's basically based on the way our brain naturally helps us learn to speak English fluently. But one thing that's certainly true about learning English in 2023 and in any other year you're watching this past this year is that the role of schools, courses, and teachers is certainly less about delivering information. With millions of YouTube videos explaining to you grammar rules and other videos and series that have a lot of language, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, all sorts of different things that will help you communicate better, thousands of podcasts, books, articles available, presenting you real language used in real life situations, I think what we are facing is this information overload. If information, passively watching more videos or reading more articles, looking for strategies and tips was the only thing we needed, wouldn't everyone already be walking around speaking English fluently and confidently? And in the rest of the video, you'll find out about some of the biggest red flags that we should all be looking for when it comes to language courses and methods and teachers, and why so many struggling English students are stuck in what I call the English student's death spiral, when all they do is consuming more information, more grammar rules, more exercises, more passively watching social media videos, looking at tips and strategies that they never act on, instead of turning into active learners and action takers. The thing that always helped me build my fluency and gain confidence in speaking English from a very early stage was that I was always looking at speaking English fluently and fluency itself as a skill. I can draw parallels to you with the gym and how working out is very similar to building our fluency. And actually my idea of a course, because I don't really like this word course and I've never wanted to build courses, I prefer to build a community, and this is what we focus on inside my fluency program, the Proficiency Fortress, which is a community of ambitious, powerful and committed individuals all trying to improve their fluency and gain confidence so they can have a better quality of life. Because if you go to the gym, you don't just go there to sit around and watch your trainers or other people doing the workout and expect to grow muscles or to stay fit. You don't spend most of your free time watching other people doing the workouts. These are important because these are going to give you examples of how the different workouts work, but you wouldn't expect to grow muscles just by consuming videos on how other people would stay fit. And just like you wouldn't just walk into a gym on day one of your fitness journey, pick up the heaviest weights and expect to grow muscles from there, you also wouldn't expect to talk about the dangers of artificial intelligence, which is a really complex topic, and instead you would start talking and practicing speaking English, let's say talking about your daily habits or the food you cook or eat or like. And first of all, beware of schools that say native speaker teachers only. I know this is a trend, especially here in Asia. I've been living here for almost 5 years. It's gonna be 5 years next month. And I used to work at a language school in countryside Japan, which was amazing. I loved the countryside. I loved to get to know more about the culture and get to know local people and how they speak Japanese, which is not what I saw in the textbooks I was studying from. But teaching there as a professional with more than a decade's experience teaching adults and a master's degree in teaching English was excruciatingly painful. And don't get me wrong, I loved the students that I was teaching and how enthusiastic they were about having opportunities to speak. But I also knew that if the school policies allowed, there would have been way more effective ways that they could have made progress. I just didn't have a say in it because I wasn't the manager deciding on the methodology. I was just a teacher there. Huge mistake. And after a few months of working there, you might know that I'm originally from Hungary, so English isn't my native language. When I was already able to read enough Japanese, I found out that I'd been advertised as a native speaker just because I was white. And the manager of the school charged astronomical prices for the classes just because she was advertising the classes as an opportunity to learn to speak like a native speaker, because the students would be speaking to a native speaker all the time. And here's what's the biggest problem with this toxic, disgusting marketing that has caused so many people their jobs, including my own depression back during COVID. Native English speakers don't have a magic wand that they just wave around, and just because people spend time with them, they would be able to speak like a native speaker and have a native accent, because it's biology and physics that we are all responsible for the skills that we build, because it all depends on the skills we build in our brain, making sure our brain makes as many of those synaptic connections as humanly possible. And actually listening to loads and loads of English through videos, podcasts, interviews was the thing that helped me the most when it comes to improving my fluency, having a clear pronunciation, remembering vocabulary and everything else around my fluency, and I talk more about it in another video. But people who want to practice listening to native speakers might as well just practice by simply, talking to them on the street or on random locations. There are so many applications and everything where people can find people to practice with. And also there's loads of podcasts and interviews where you can familiarize yourself with the way native English speakers speak. At the same time, English isn't just about native speakers, because the number of non-native English speakers, I don't like to call them that, I like to call them bilingual speakers, because they are all heroes by learning to speak a foreign language fluently and confidently. And the truth is, you're more likely to actually use English as a conversation tool with people who don't speak English as a native language. This is based on research. And many people struggle with understanding people who don't speak English as their first language. So exclusively focusing on native speakers and speaking like a native speaker and learning with native speakers in 2023 in this globalized world isn't working anymore. And let's just not talk about the fact that a lot of people think that teachers are just speaking partners, and there are a bunch of websites that offer an opportunity to speak with a teacher. But in reality, if you take lessons from an experienced teacher or coach, because they are experts in the field of helping their students with scientifically proven methods that are based on neuroscience, personalized feedback and strategies so you don't waste your time learning English, a learning plan so you don't get overwhelmed with this whole idea of fluency, tools that you can always get access to feel more relaxed, to make sure that you keep going, to change the way you think and work on your mindset, and providing personalized materials to improve at their right level. And this brings me to the second reason I think most traditional English courses are a waste of money if you're looking to improve your communication skills. Most of them either focus too much on theory, too much on explanations of grammar and memorizing words, spending way more time talking about grammar and vocabulary instead of talking using grammar and vocabulary, or they put you together with a native speaker and they tell you that the only thing you need to do is just speak, and then expect to improve. Why is this so misleading? I didn't improve my fluency and reach a proficient C2 level of English before the age of 25 because I was just speaking. When someone just practices speaking by speaking, they risk many things, including only using the same communicative skills. Speaking English isn't just about sharing your opinions and telling stories, which are very common ways of communicating when we have a conversation in a traditional English classroom. To be a successful English communicator, we need to be able to perform well at other communicative sub-skills. You could see a couple of examples here according to different levels. These are things that we always practice with my students with our speaking booster classes. And even though speaking is an important element, that fluency building where you're training yourself to think faster, to think in English so that words come out without always thinking, is an important element of fluency building. When people just speak, they risk making exactly the same mistakes over and over again without the necessary feedback and without paying attention to the type of language that they spend time listening to in interviews, podcasts, or anywhere else they come across the language they want to get better at using. And I've seen way too many people, and this is going on a lot of platforms, where people think that, oh, I just need to speak and I will magically speak better. And then with lack of or really low quality feedback from either an inexperienced teacher or someone else who can't give proper feedback, they risk repeating those mistakes, sometimes so many times. You could check this out, this is scientifically proven, that they risk fossilization, which means you reach a level of repeating your mistakes so many times that it's going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, to reverse that and say something correctly without making mistakes. And lastly, a fluency course to me is less about giving information and teaching a language, because it's 2023. People want to be independent, they want to make the most of their time out of learning English, and we know that we can't just improve our fluency by going to classes and taking courses. To me as an English coach, and this is what I profess inside my communities as well, teaching English is more about empowering my students so they could get better and better at learning, so they can keep taking action, taking risks, and they get 1% better every single time they try and practice their fluency skills or anything else they focus on. It's also about providing a conducive environment to people who actually want to learn, so they have a safe space where people feel accepted, celebrated, empowered, and inspired. Surrounded by ambitious people like you who always lift you up and keep you going. Several studies have shown that your level of success with English fluency is less about what you study, and it's not even about how much time you spend learning English, but more about how much you believe in your ability to keep growing and improving your English fluency, which is what we call self-efficacy. I was able to increase my self-efficacy, and I share more about it in a more personal video here as well. And I've integrated all this into my courses and programs so my students can benefit from the same support by facing the challenges that I had in front of me and making sure I keep it challenging, just like 1 to 5% more challenging. So I don't repeat just practicing the same things and then feeling stuck for years. By surrounding myself with an inspiring community of people who accepted me for who I am, so I didn't feel shy, I didn't feel embarrassed about making mistakes, or I didn't feel ashamed of having a non-native accent. And when I saw how other people in the community I was learning English in the same situation I was in, feeling shy, nervous about speaking English, struggling to understand native speakers, took action and made massive progress with their English, I was basically encouraged, seeing that if they could do it, I could do the same. And of course, probably one of the most important things, the mindset work I always talk about, and I learned this from my mom, who always told me not to waste my time waiting, wishing other people would save me, overthinking, just take action and do something about whatever you have problems with. I focused on becoming a powerful, resourceful, responsible, and autonomous English learner using the most up-to-date research on how our brain naturally learns to speak English fluently. Have you ever had negative experience taking part in a course, especially after you finished secondary school? Because we all know how boring and theoretical it was for all of us to study English back in school. But let me know, how was your experience? And after watching this video, are you still going to choose teachers, courses, and schools that just basically provide you with more grammar explanations, more information, more memorization that you can easily find exercises and materials about all over the internet, where the teacher is doing the work, explaining, using the language in the majority of the class, realizing too late that you're still shitting your pants when it comes to using English in real life situations where you still don't have the confidence that you need to speak English exactly the way you want to express yourself, and struggle to remember grammar and vocabulary when you communicate? Or you focus on what a 21st century adult, responsible, successful English communicator does, taking part in a more practical form of education where you don't just learn more information, because that's just simply how not our brain works, where you learn how to learn better and faster using strategies from neuroscience, cultivating a growth mindset, surrounding yourself with other people who celebrate you, accept you, cheer for you every step of the way, so you can gradually take more courage, take more risks, face your fears and your challenges, and as a result improve your fluency, gain confidence in speaking English, and get access to all those amazing things, opportunities in life that speaking English fluently could help you with. If you choose the second one, make sure you check out the first link in the description below and sign up for my free webinar where I explain some of the most important strategies I was using to turn from a passive learner who had no results with speaking English, feeling confident about speaking, remembering vocabulary and grammar, and turned into an active learner, which helped me speak English fluently and confidently and live the dream life I'm living right now. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love to know what you think, what your experience was when it comes to learning English in the past, whether it was learning by yourself or taking courses in the past that may not have always been very satisfactory. As I'm on a mission here to help you change the way you look at learning English so you become more of an action taker. So I'd love to see what you think in the comments, and potentially what else you'd like me to talk about, whether it was something I covered in this video or something else you'd like to find out more about.